Mike Hall, the face of Rust Valley Restorers, is instantly recognizable for his dreadlocks and larger-than-life personality. But behind the smiles and the rows of vintage cars lies a story filled with hardship. His passion for automobiles became both his greatest gift and his heaviest burden, shaping a life marked by financial collapse, strained relationships, and family crisis. When more than 500 cars from his beloved collection hit the auction block, fans were left wondering what truly happened to Mike Hall and why has his story become a mix of triumph and tragedy. Born in 1958 in St. Boniface, Manitoba, Mike developed a fascination with cars at an early age, a passion that followed him after moving to Kamloops, British Columbia. While working in the slope stabilization industry for over 40 years, he spent his free time rescuing and restoring classics that others had abandoned. His first projects, including a 1951 International and later a 1961 Sunbeam Alpine, became defining moments in his journey. That first Alpine restoration gave him the fire to keep building his collection, and in his 20s he was already living the life of a self-proclaimed mountain hippie, free-spirited, rebellious, and utterly consumed by his love for machines. This obsession came with personal costs. Mike spent so much time with his cars that he rarely had close friends and admitted that many of his early romantic relationships ended quickly. One of the few who stood by him was Avery Schae, who later became his closest friend and partner at Russ Brothers Garage. For Mike, cars became a constant companion, something he believed would never leave him. In interviews, he spoke candidly about his greatest fear, living a boring life without chasing his dreams. By the late 1980s, his collection had grown to around 200 vehicles, and by the early 2000s, that number had skyrocketed into the hundreds. At its peak, Mike Hall's collection exceeded 550 vehicles, making it one of the largest in Canada. Yet, with this incredible achievement came mounting controversies, financial struggles, and sacrifices at home. While Mike viewed every car as a piece of history worth saving, his passion often created rifts in his personal life. For fans, the sheer scale of his dedication was awe-inspiring. But beneath the surface, it also revealed the painful truth that sometimes chasing a dream so relentlessly can come at the cost of the very things that matter most. Mike Hall's passion for cars came at a heavy personal cost. Spending nearly every evening in the garage, he missed countless birthdays, holidays, and family milestones, creating a growing distance with his wife and son. His obsession also strained friendships and professional relationships, leaving only a few loyal companions like Avery Schae by his side. Surrounded by hundreds of rusting vehicles, Mike often found himself isolated, emotionally detached, and consumed by a collection that seemed to fill his life. He had left an emptiness in his home. Financial pressures soon became unbearable. Maintaining more than 500 cars demanded enormous costs: insurance, taxes, storage, and restoration, often amounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. Mike repeatedly mortgaged assets and borrowed money to keep his dream alive. Yet debts continued to mount. Despite owning vehicles collectively valued between $1 and $2 million Canadian dollars, his situation was precarious. Local critics dismissed him as an eccentric hoarder. Neighbors grew frustrated with the sprawling car yard, and media often painted him as a controversial figure who had sacrificed family and community ties for rusting steel. Just when his world seemed to collapse, a turning point arrived. In 2018, his young son Connor returned, joining Mike and longtime friend Avery, Schae to rebuild Rust Brothers' garage. Their timing coincided with the launch of the Netflix series Rust Valley, Restorers, which suddenly catapulted Mike's story to international fame. Beyond the publicity, the show gave Mike something far more meaningful, a chance to reconnect with Connor and mend their broken bond. Together, the team balanced the emotional weight of each car with the financial necessity of selling them, turning Rust Brothers' garage into both a successful business and a global inspiration. Over 4 seasons, the garage restored dozens of classic cars and drew thousands of fans to tape-in. But for Mike, the true victory wasn't measured in profits or fame. It was in rediscovering family. With Connor and Avery by his side, he slowly let go of reckless collecting, learned to make thoughtful choices, and embraced the second chance life had given him. Looking back, he admitted regrets about the year's loss, but also gratitude for the healing the show brought. Still, as new challenges emerged, one question loomed large. Would Mike finally let go of the decades-long dream? As of October 2nd, 2021, Mike Hall made the most difficult decision of his life, auctioning off nearly his entire classic car collection of over 500 vehicles. The event drew global attention from fans and the media, with some cars selling for only a few hundred, while rare models reached as high as $50,000 Canadian. In the end, Mike kept just 50 of his most prized cars, including his beloved Dodge Dart. Watching each vehicle leave brought him both sadness and relief, as he admitted that letting go was a painful but necessary choice after years of financial strain, declining health, and emotional exhaustion. For Connor Hall, this moment was not about cars, but about family. He expressed pride that his father had finally been strong enough to move on, seeing it as proof that years of distance and misunderstanding had finally healed. Avery Schae also supported the decision, calling it the right path forward. Financially, the auction lifted much of Mike's debt and provided stability. But the deeper reward was emotional. For the first time in decades, Mike began spending more time with Connor, his grandson, and his community, even participating in charity events. So, he confessed to friends that he sometimes felt lonely in the empty yard where his cars once stood, fearing more the silence than any illness. The classic car community largely respected his choice, viewing it as a lesson in knowing when to step back and prioritize family over obsession. While some critics argued that Mike gave up too soon and never fully realized the potential of his collection, for him the peace that followed outweighed any lost profits. Connor himself summed it up simply: "It was this auction that truly healed our family." The quiet after the sale opened a new chapter where Mike no longer lived under the weight of his passion, but could finally live for the present and those closest to him. In the years since, Mike Hall's story has become a legacy far greater than the cars he restored. Despite false rumors of his death circulating online, Mike remains alive, active, and energetic, still appearing at major car events and working on new television projects with Avery and Connor. Today, he keeps around 50 vintage cars, supports fundraising events, and continues to inspire classic car lovers worldwide. His true legacy is not measured in the vehicles he collected, but in his courage to change, reconcile with his family, and show the world that sometimes the bravest act is learning to let go. Avery Schae once said, Mike taught us that true value in a man is persistence and the courage to admit mistakes. Around the world, classic car communities continue to honor Mike Hall, sharing his philosophy that rust is gold. For many, this phrase has become more than a motto for restoring old cars. It's a reminder that passion can coexist with struggle and that beauty can be found in what others might discard. On television, Mike always stressed the importance of chasing passion without abandoning family, a lesson his son Connor often echoes with gratitude. Though Mike no longer owns Canada's largest vintage car collection, his presence at shows, car fairs, and community gatherings reminds people everywhere that his real legacy is not the cars he restored, but the lessons he lived. And that is the heartbreaking tragedy and triumph of Mike Hall from Rust Valley Restores. His greatest gift was not the hundreds of vehicles that once filled his yard, but the wisdom to let go, repair old wounds, and remind future generations that family is the truest treasure of all. Today, his story continues to inspire millions as a symbol of resilience, compassion, and the courage to start over. If Mike's journey has touched you, share your thoughts and memories in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more powerful stories of lives that prove even in tragedy there is